Caitlin Clark was just named Time's 2024 Athlete of the Year, and she gave her most vulnerable interview yet, even commenting on some of the most controversial issues surrounding her this year.
The WNBA is in full meltdown mode after Caitlin Clark dropped truth bombs that exposed everything wrong with the league. Caitlin, known for speaking only when it truly matters, let loose in her latest interview, pulling no punches about the ridiculous injustice she's faced, from the unchecked physicality on the court to the blatant neglect by the league. She didn't hold back.
She admitted it here that it was so much harder going to the WNBA, but also that she was able to rise to the occasion and become a better player.
Despite the brutality and chaos, Caitlin stayed strong, not for the WNBA, but for her fans who believe in her and the future of women's basketball. She's the reason people even bother tuning in, proving that women's basketball can be exciting, competitive, and worth every butt.
The players of the WNBA can't fucking stand her. Why? Because she's white. It's abject, absolute racism. It's total racism.
And now the WNBA is scrambling because they can't handle her courage or honesty. Caitlin didn't just speak her truth. She lit the whole narrative on fire, and the league is burning in her wake.
Cheryl Swoops and others who were clearly distant and dismissive of her, no matter how much they try to deny it. There was resentment towards her, and here's why I said it was stupid.
The WNBA just hit a new low, and honestly, I didn't think that was possible at this point. Caitlin Clark, literal rookie phenom, record-smashing machine, and walking highlight reel, just exposed the league for what it truly is: a circus of incompetence masquerading as professional basketball. The woman rewrote history in her first year, and what does she get in return? A front-row seat to the WNBA's masterclass in how to fumble greatness.
She still fell victim to being in the middle of all of these controversies. So the fact that she saw some of that and she feels that way kind of sucks.
Let's talk numbers, because Caitlin Clark isn't just good, she's legendary. 6 rookie records and points and assists, check. 4 franchise records, check. 19 assists in one game, shattering the league's previous record, absolutely. And just casually crowned Time Magazine's Athlete of the Year for 2024. But sure, let's treat her like she's just another player in the lineup, because apparently that's how the WNBA rolls.
Wilson, a 2-time league champion and now 3-time WNBA MVP, told the Associated Press she thought Clark's race was a huge contributor to her popularity. It doesn't matter what we all do as Black women, we're still going to be swept underneath the rug. That's why it boils my blood when people say it's not about race, because it is.
Her jaw-dropping Time Magazine interview, Caitlin finally let loose about the nonsense she's been dealing with. Let me paint the picture for you: Olympic snubs, unchecked physical aggression on the court, and a league that seems to thrive on media chaos instead of actual basketball. It's like the WNBA is allergic to success. Instead of protecting and promoting their rising stars, they're out here handing them Target practice jerseys and saying, "Good luck."
She said, "I want to say I've earned every single thing, but as a white person, there is privilege. A lot of these players in the league that have been really good have been Black players. This league is kind of built on them. The more we can appreciate that, highlight that, talk about that, and then continue to have brands and companies invest in those players that have made this league incredible, I think that's important. I have to continue to try to change that. The more we can elevate Black women, that's going to be a beautiful thing."
Let's start with the physicality. Caitlin's rookie season was the Hunger Games' one standout moment of insanity, a game against the Chicago Sky, where Chindy Carter not only shoved her but followed it up by calling her the B word. And what did the league do about this blatant aggression? Absolutely nothing. No fines, no suspensions, just a pat on the back for Carter. Probably the WNBA seems to think this is WWE, where drama and aggression sell tickets.
For 22 plus years, they had been flying commercials. They were begging for chartered flights. She arrives there, and 2 weeks later, they got chartered flights.
And then there was the infamous Victoria Vivian's clash during a game with the Seattle Storm, because why stop at one scandal when you can have a whole series? The league's response to these incidents has been a masterclass in doing absolutely nothing. Meanwhile, Caitlin just keeps her head down, calling it part of the game. The fact that she's not flipping tables over this is a testament to her patience, not the WNBA's professionalism.
A rising tide lifts all boats. She's trying to be the rising tide that lifts the boats.
Oh, But wait, it gets better. Caitlyn gets poked in the eye, visibly shaken, and the WNBA's response crickets. The players' union jumps to Carrington's defense. The media turns it into a drama, and Caitlyn has to step in herself to calm things down. Can you imagine this happening in the NBA? If someone poked Steph Curry in the eye, the league would call in the National Guard. But in the WNBA, it's just another Tuesday.
And she does very well, and she wins games, and she puts butts in the seats, and she sells tickets, and she gets people tuning in on television. And all really we want to hear from anybody about this is thank you. Thank you to Caitlin Clark for making our league relevant and so on. But instead, she's been bullied repeatedly by the players in this league. She's been assaulted physically. She's been scratched in the eye. And I mean, all this is on camera. We've covered it repeatedly on the show.
And the cherry on this disaster Sunday, the Olympic snub Caitlin Clark, who broke 64 records in her rookie season, was left off the Paris 2024 roster 64. And yet somehow the WNBA thought it was a good idea to prioritize legacy players like Diana Taurasi over one of the most dynamic talents the league has ever seen. Let's call this what it is: pure politics. Caitlin outscored and outperformed, but apparently being too good is a problem now.
She automatically and instantaneously improved the conditions. Attendance is still lagging. WNBA is still losing money compared to what you would hope it would earn, but clearly things are on an upward trending trajectory. It's improving, and she has everything to do with it.
The reasoning behind her omission. Oh, they'll tell you it's about team dynamics or experience, but let's not kid ourselves. This was about preserving the old guard, the so-called legends who haven't done anything new since flip phones were a thing. Meanwhile, Caitlyn is out here revolutionizing the game. But no, let's keep her on the sidelines and wonder why people aren't tuning in. What's truly infuriating is how Caitlyn handles all of this with more grace than the WNBA deserves. She's not asking for handouts or a free pass to the Olympics. She just wants to be judged on her talent, something the WNBA seems incapable of doing. If this were the NBA, Caitlyn would already be the face of the league. But in the WNBA, she's just another name to mismanage.
Be resentful of the folks, primarily the white folks, who basically disenfranchised y'all all of these years before she came along, who denied you the acclaim and the allure and the profits you richly deserved. But you don't take that out on Caitlin Clark. Not her.
The media's obsession with double standards is so predictable, it's almost boring. But Caitlin Clark, oh, she's not letting it slide. In her latest masterclass on speaking truth, she shredded the media for their absolute nonsense, calling out unqualified opinions left and right. And let's be real, they deserve it. Didn't pull punches when she said most of these people haven't even watched half a game. Burn. And she's not wrong. How often do we see TikTok analysts or bloggers with zero actual knowledge of the WNBA running their mouths all for clicks, right? The WNBA might love the attention, but in the long run, this clueless chatter just drags down the sport.
And WNBA draft, games on ABC, ESPN, television ratings, she's directly responsible. And people were resenting her for it, like she was the cause of the problems that they had for the lack of recognition. No, she just happened to be born white.
Here's the deal: if you're going to critique, at least know the basics. But nope, the media's game plan is to spin every little thing into a headline-grabbing mess. Tyrese Haliburton trips over his shoelaces, crickets. Caitlin Clark gets shoved, poked, or caught in some mild drama. Cue the media circus. And don't even get me started on the Christine Brennan disaster after the Carrington I-Pook incident. Brennan's line of questioning wasn't just tone deaf, it was downright embarrassing. Even the WNBA Players Union had to step in and tell her to chill. Clark herself called the questions inappropriate and unnecessary, which is the polite way of saying, what were